What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new football news video, and in this video we will talk about Jurgen Klopp saying that Liverpool are ready to become champions once the Premier League resumes, and Liverpool are ready to play football whenever the British government and the Premier League gives the green light. And also I think the Bundesliga resumption has been a very resounding success. Millions and maybe even billions of people were tuning into the Bundesliga, and there were some cracking games, and I think that the Bundesliga did things almost as good as it could be done to return to football safely. So I think the Premier League will be looking at the Bundesliga model, but also we will be talking in this video about the Premier League maybe lacking a leadership in providing a clear roadmap into how the Premier League should resume, because what Germany did is they outlined each and every single step in a 6-week period, and they had a clear game plan and a plan on how to resume football, and they executed that plan to almost perfection with German precision. And I think the Premier League should really model their project restart on what the Germans are doing. So let me know what you think about the Bundesliga resuming this weekend. And as I said, there were some cracking games, and I really hope that you guys like this video. If you enjoy it, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you never miss the latest Liverpool and football news. And Jurgen Klopp said that football will remain a wonderful game even when it is played at empty stadiums. And yes, the atmosphere is a little bit weird, but still football is a wonderful game, and I just loved watching the Bundesliga this weekend. And Liverpool are at most 2 wins away from winning their first league title in 30 years. But several Premier League players have voiced concerns over protocols for the next higher risk phase of training. So it's a very interesting topic, I think, that we should talk about. This is what Jurgen Klopp said when Football Focus of BBC asked him whether his players will be ready to start again and to play football again and win the championship, win the Premier League title again. Yes, look, football is a game where pretty much we have the same situation. We play against another team. We don't have to be at our all-time best. We have to be at our best possible on that exact day, and that is exactly the same situation for the other team as well. Whenever we will start, we will have the same time for preparation, and our job, as always, is to use the situation you are in. We will be in as good a shape as possible, and that is what we have to use then. And by the way, I'm back home, as you can see, in my usual surroundings after 2 months, because my girlfriend got a job. She's starting on Monday, so regular career mode uploads are continuing. And of course, Liverpool, more than any other team, I think, rely on their famous red fans. But Jurgen Klopp was a little bit philosophical when he said this about playing without fans in the stadiums. We all started playing football when we were kids without supporters, and we loved this game. Not because of the atmosphere or because of the fans in a stadium. Meanwhile, we are used to it. We know that's the real football, but now, if we cannot play like this for a few months, hopefully only a few months, that doesn't mean the game is not still a wonderful game. I really hope that it works out in Germany, and we can then start at some point in England as well. I think that's a brilliant interview by Jurgen Klopp. And speaking on the Sunday supplement, the Sunday Times chief football writer Jonathan Norcroft gave a very good detail and very good account of what Germany have done and what the Bundesliga have done. There's nothing like having a practical example to lead the way. The Premier League needs to look at the Bundesliga in how they are doing things. I think there will be a lot of relief about the fact the games were played were good games, and some of the issues we have been talking about, like fans congregating outside grounds, didn't seem to happen. The protocols more or less seemed to work. The note of caution we have all seen is that it wasn't quite football as we know it. You had the Revier Derby, one of the biggest games in Germany, in a stadium that usually holds 80,000 people, the Dortmund's famous stadium. against a backdrop of almost nothing, about 200 people in the stadium. It was nearly silent. Yes, it is true, in my opinion, but still the game was great. Dortmund won 4-0 and there were some cracking goals, and still there was some sound when the goals went in because of the substitutes bench and because of the Dortmund staff cheering the goals. So it wasn't like completely silent. And there were, for example, just 10 journalists who were allowed in the stadium to conduct post-match interviews with a safe social distancing as well. The players didn't really celebrate, the journalist said. They kept a distance, only clapping, so it was a very, very strange feeling, almost like a test game or a training game. There is a big part of the public that is also against it because they think we have enough other problems at the moment. We don't have enough daycare for children, schools are not starting, but football is starting, so we don't like that. Some German people actually think that. It's a bummer we can't be inside the stadium to watch. That's what one Dortmund fan said. But at least football is back. We have something to do with our weekends. From speaking to people I know, some are angry because they think millionaires who kick a ball around are being given special treatment. That's actually a very interesting opinion. Let me know which side of the fence do you sit on. Schalke's sporting director said this: "We got a lot of calls and emails from big clubs in Spain and England, and I know they really hope that we manage this situation so that other leagues can restart as well. We know how important it is to restart and finish the season as well. We all agree this situation will not change that much by August, September, October. So if we are not able to play now, why will we be able to play in those months?" And also Steve Bruce and Man City player and former Liverpool player Raheem Sterling came out and said that the Premier League should not resume before the end of June. So let's actually hear what they are saying. Raheem Sterling is quoted to say by Sky Sports, "You can't come back in with 1.5 or 2 weeks of training." That's pretty obvious, but the Premier League is already resuming training. And Steve Bruce said in an interview, "We have listened to what has been said, and with the precautions taken, we will get back to work and start phase 1 of training. Can we get to that stage where we can have all the players on the pitch together? We don't know yet. Phase 1 will be mainly fitness work, 4 or 5 players on a pitch. Let's see how we get on and hope there are no new infections. You would need," Raheem Sterling also said this, "you would need a full 4 to 5 weeks of continuous training, especially if you are going to go back into a competition when you are literally paid to win. It's going to count for something. You do need to do that preparation. You can't just go straight in. Basically, you need to have another pre-season, basically. We need enough preparation time to get these players into shape, and they are just going to fall down. Or they are just going to fall down like a pack of cards. Most of the managers have the same concerns. We would need at least 6 weeks. I don't see how we can play games until the back end of June." That's what Steve Bruce is saying. Very interesting, in my opinion. And this is why I think the Premier League should start the training right now, and hopefully players can get match fit in 4 or 5 weeks. And Steve Bruce continued, "If a player refuses to come in or play, and I have sympathy for that, I would understand it. Most of my players are happy with resuming training. There was a captain's meeting the other day as well, and as a squad they are happy with the measures that are being put in place. You have to respect everybody's personal views on it." And Jonathan Northcroft gave an opinion on this Steve Bruce quote. He has a big point. This is one of the big obstacles. I do think the June 12th date may be the first thing to go in Monday's Premier League meeting. The end of June sounds more realistic to me. June 26th, which is now being mooted, looks a more realistic date for a restart. This will be a 4 to 5 week period of packed fixtures, so injury risks are going to be a big problem. One of the big problems is that there is a sense that there is not a clear roadmap from players and managers, that they are saying this, that there is not a clear roadmap, a clear plan being set out by the Premier League. They had clear planning in Germany from the start, close contact with the government, dialogue almost every day, training protocols established quite early, and we are still discussing all of that. In England, the planning has to be clear. There has to be more agreement to get to where Germany is. With all the health risks and uncertainty, players and managers feel they are not even being told what the road ahead is. A couple I spoke to this week said they are being asked to return to training, but what date that's working towards? When can we have contact training? It's important for people in the game to have at least that sense that this is being planned for and looked after. The word I keep hearing is leadership, a lack of leadership and direction. There would be a lot more confidence from people in the game in football if there was a sense that there's at the top. It was there in Germany, and I don't think it's been there in England. And I find it appalling, this incredible lack of leadership, not just from the Premier League, but from the British government. From the first day that this virus hit the United Kingdom, there has been a lack of leadership and mixed messages, and it has continued. And no wonder Great Britain and the United Kingdom has the second worst death toll of any country in the world, and that's absolutely a national disgrace in my opinion for the United Kingdom. And Ian Ladyman, who is also a journalist working at the Daily Mail, said this: "I understand it's good to have an endpoint, a resumption date, in a perfect world, but we are all having to make adjustments to our lives. None of us really know what the end of every week will bring. Footballers have just got to accept that to a degree and take it step by step, and if they are asked to return to work, if they are happy to do that, they should just go and train without worrying what's happening in 4 or 5 weeks. It's not going to be sprung on them at 3 days notice. They will get enough notice. I'm not sure having that one date in their minds is that important or healthy, because the chances are it will change anyway." And Wayne Rooney, in his Sunday Times column, said this: "I'm desperate to train and play football again, but it feels like football in England is being pushed to return a little bit too soon. Our government says people can return to work, but only with social distancing in the workplace, and that does not work in football. So I don't get it. Until the government gives the green light to have physical contact, we can't train or prepare properly." And yes, the situation is different in Germany because they have a lot more tests available, and also I think they coped with the whole virus and pandemic situation a lot better than the United Kingdom. And Nigel Pearson, the manager of Watford, is actually worried about a Premier League fatality. Somebody in the Premier League, either a player or a staff member or a manager, dying because of the virus. He said, "People are closing their eyes to the threat. God forbid we have a fatality in the Premier League. Yes, we would like to restart, but it's got to be safe. We should be cautious. To ignore possibilities is foolish. It's about safeguarding people's health." Pearson is worried about the weight on expectations which has been placed on players by the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and says it is unreasonable to suggest that footballers and staff are obligated to make the nation of England feel better. If I've got my cynical head on, I'm concerned our potential restart coincides with the relaxation of lockdown rules. We have to try to believe the government advice that we are being given, that we are reached the peak, but there's still an incredible number of people losing their lives through this. Death toll in the UK is anything between 38 and 33,000 people. That's filling our stadium and then filling it half again. It's a sobering thought. Watford captain Troy Deeney also criticized Project Restart's plans to resume the season. And Troy Deeney said he would rather go broke than return and play in the Premier League and risk the health of his family. And you have to respect a point of view like this, and not everybody agrees on how we should proceed, and that's why this situation is so tough and so difficult. Troy Deeney said on Instagram, "I'm not even talking about football at the moment, I'm talking about my family's health, and that is it. If I feel that I'm not looking after my family, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put my family at risk. What are they going to do? Take money off me? I've been broke before, so it doesn't bother me." So that's the opinion of Troy Deeney, and you have to respect it. People are being forced to work, even like grocery store workers. They have to go to work, otherwise they lose their job. So fair enough, if Troy Deeney says he would rather stay at home and not get his wages, he's entitled to do that. But if Troy Deeney says, don't pay me any wages, I will just stay at home, you have to respect his decision, in my opinion. And Troy Deeney said this: they are talking about not playing in front of fans until 2021, so until next year. So if it's not safe enough for fans to be inside the stadium, why should it be safe for players to be in there? At corners, Watford have 11 men back, so you are talking about having 18 or 19 people in the penalty area. That's not social distancing. They are the kind of questions people have been asking, but we haven't had the best answers at the moment. Not because people don't want to give you the answers, it's because they can't give you the answers. I think the answer to this is to test everybody twice a week, like the Bundesliga is doing. And every time somebody tests positive, you take that player and any of his close contacts, like his family members or staff members who were close contact with him, out of the squad, and that's it. If you take the whole squad out and self-isolate them for 14 days, then the whole league falls apart. So you can't do that. And I think you have to continue playing football. You can't stop playing football until next year, because 90% of clubs will just go bankrupt and go out of existence. Football clubs are businesses nowadays, and they don't have the cash reserves to just keep paying the wages, the incredibly high wages of the players, without actually revenue coming in. So that's the kind of tough situation that the clubs are facing. But Troy Deeney makes a very good point, saying we are doing all this testing to get footballers back to work, and then the NHS, the care workers and the people on the front line don't have enough tests. How do you justify that? I feel like they want to get us back to work so they can take more tax off you. Premier League players pay nearly £4 billion in tax per year. I am all for going back, but I'm not for going back when it is not clear on how the steps are going to be made. And this is why the role of the Premier League is so crucial in this. You have to have a clear roadmap, like the Bundesliga had, on how to return and resume the Football League. And in a recent interview, Jordan Henderson was asked, what has Virgil van Dijk brought to Liverpool since he signed for the club? And this is what Jordan Henderson said: what hasn't Van Dijk bought, really? I couldn't speak highly enough of him as a player. Of course, everybody knows how good he is and what he's done over the last couple of years as a team. He has been immense. He's won his individual awards, and rightly so. He's an unbelievable defender, an unbelievable player. But for me, he's brought something huge off the pitch. I couldn't speak highly enough of him off the pitch, and the type of man and the person that he is. He's an incredible person, a great leader to have in the dressing room, and he's given everybody a big boost from the first minute that he came in. Every day it's a pleasure to be around him. He's always smiling, always in a good frame of mind, and he has had a huge impact in the dressing room and on the pitch since he has been at the club. He does things properly, leads by example. I'm just delighted for him. Now he has been playing and getting all the awards that he's been getting, because it's well deserved, and he deserves everything he gets. What a brilliant interview by Jordan Henderson on what an incredible impact Virgil van Dijk had at Liverpool. And I think the one thing Liverpool lacked was leadership at the back, leadership in defense, and Virgil van Dijk brought that in abundance. He's a leader, and I just love that about him. And there is a clear, very, very different Liverpool from before Virgil van Dijk and after Virgil van Dijk. It's a new era, and Liverpool suddenly turned into this winning machine. And that's not a coincidence. We made it to back-to-back Champions League finals, and we almost won the Premier League twice in a row. We will win it this season, I think, and last season we were just 11 millimeters away from winning the Premier League title with Van Dijk. And I think next season Liverpool will be one of the favorites to win the title with Van Dijk at the back. And I'm really hoping that you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun making it. Thanks for watching. See you guys. Goodbye.